Good day, class, and welcome to part 2 of our new series, which is the contemporary world. So, in order for us to understand more about globalization, we have to answer when did globalization begin? So, we're going to discuss later on how the two world wars affected globalization today. But in the meantime, what I want to answer is paano ba nagsimula ang globalization? Dati, ang mga tao ay mga nomads. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Spell ko muna. Nomads. So, when we say nomads, ibig sabihin, wala tayong permanent na tirahan. No permanent. Okay, so, sorry. Wala tayong permanent na tirahan. No permanent house. Yun na lang. Bakit? Kasi dati, ang mga tao ay nag-iikot-ikot kung saan-saan and nag-hunting ng makakain. So, pag may nakita silang mapagtripan, papatayin nila. And one of our superpowers, yes, superpowers. Kasi dati, nung bata ako, lagi ko naiisip, ba't kaya yung mga lion, meron silang mga claws na pag inatake nila yung kahit sino, makaka-rip ng organs. Yung mga grizzly bears naman, malalaki. Very dangerous. Magtataka talaga, bakit yung mga tao, wala tayong special unique ability. And you would say na we have our brain. Compared to other animals, kakaiba ang ating intelligence. However, ang gusto kong i-highlight is that meron tayong sweat. Technically, no, pinapawisan din naman yung mga hayop. Pero tayong mga tao, well, hayop din naman tayo, what makes us biologically different from other animals is our ability to sweat sa buong katawan. And because of that, mas energetic tayo and mas capable tayo in doing cardiovascular activities na mas may endurance compared sa mga hayop. For example, yung mga mammoths, di ba? Aside from mammoths, yung mga other prey nating mga tao, they would run for hundreds of miles, pero eventually mapapagod sila. And pag napagod na sila, magugulat na lang sila, yung mga sinaunang tao, nandun pa rin. Hindi kasi tayo napapagod. Dahil nga pinapawisan tayo. And eventually, mapapatay natin yung mga prey natin. Pero ang point ko dito is, yung mga sinaunang tao, we were nomads. Nag-iikot-ikot tayo kung saan saan. Eventually, nagkaroon ng time that we decided na ayaw na pala natin maging nomads. Sure, may mga iba nomads pa rin, pero eventually, we decided na mag-settle. So, nagtayo tayo ng mga simpleng bahay. We domesticated the animals. We realized na pwede pala natin i-control yung mga hayop. They can give birth and we can take care of them and then mag-give birth ulit sila hanggat sa hindi na natin kailangan mag-hunting. Mas madali palang mag-alaga ng hayop kasi pwede silang mag-multiply na mag-multiply. Mas magko-cooperate yung mga hayop sa atin pag ganun. And na-discover din natin yung farming or agriculture. So there's no need for us to relocate. 'Di ba? However, ikaw ba nung quarantine, nung pandemic, gusto mo ba yung nasa bahay ka lang? 'Di ba hindi? So syempre, aside from establishing settlements, yung mga tao is nag-iikot-ikot din yung mga yan. And eventually, nung nag-ikot-ikot sila from other places, they also encountered other settlements. So for example, this is settlement A. Etong si Guy, nag-ikot-ikot. Pag ikot-ikot niya, na-encounter niya si settlement B. Na first time niyang na-encounter yung settlement na yan. And first time din siyang na-encounter ng settlement na yan. So obviously, their way of communicating would be different. So dalawa lang yung options. It's either patayin siya or patayin niya. Or another option pala is they can communicate towards each other. So usually, dati, it's survival of the fittest. So settlements will wage war with other settlements, yan si B versus A, or kung hindi nila gagawin yon, they will trade with each other. So they will trade with each other back and forth hanggat sa magkasundo-sundo sila. Or in other cases, they will unite. They will unite. So A, B. Hanggat sa naulit ng naulit yan, hanggat sa lumaki na ng lumaki ang isang society. Hanggat sa naging complex na siya and it turns into a civilization. Civilization. So, pag sinabi nating civilization, this means it's a complicated or a sophisticated society whereby meron ng governance, may laws, may people, may territory, or basically my state. This is a civilization. Complicated society na siya. So, paano ba nabuo ang mga civilizations? Well, as I said, nagsisimula sa mga settlements. Itong mga settlements na to, they will encounter other settlements and they would either decide na magsama-sama or maghiwalay-hiwalay or maggera. And eventually, pag marami ng settlements ang nag-form and they decided to create or decide kung sino yung magiging leader nila or authority, and then itong authority na to magkakaroon ng mga laws and stuff like that, they would become a civilization. And of course, civilizations will also encounter other civilizations. For example, ang Pilipinas dati, okay, nung pumunta yung mga Espanyol sa atin, by the way, take note, sabi nila, ang tinuro sa inyo pala dati ng mga teacher nyo is that the Spanish discovered the Philippines. Pero ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng word na discover? Pag sinabi natin discover, ibig sabihin, 'di ba, ikaw pa lang yung unang naka-discover nito. Like wala pang tao sa buong mundo na nakaka-find out sa inyo. Sabi nila, the Spanish discovered the Philippines. I would disagree. Because paano mo nasabi na na-discover nila ang Pilipinas? Eh nung pagpunta ng mga Espanyol dito sa Pilipinas, meron na tayong Islam. Meron na tayong kultura. And kilala na tayo ng mga Chinese. Kilala na tayo ng mga Japanese because they also traded with us. Kilala na tayo ng Borneo, ng Malaysia and Indonesia. We were already trading with them. So we were already recognized by our neighboring nations. So to say na na-discover tayo ng Spain is misleading. Pero anyway, you would agree with me when I say na even though hindi pa unified ang Pilipinas, kasi nga magkakahiwalay tayo ng barangay dati, wala pa namang Pilipinas prior to Spain, we were just an archipelago and our archipelago is filled with different polities. Iba-iba ng kultura, iba-iba ng barangay. Pero you would say, di ba, na as a settlement, different settlements rather, meron na tayong kultura, meron na tayong lingwahe, meron na tayong system of governance because we were also trading with the Chinese and the Japanese and our neighboring nations. In fact, nagde-declare na rin tayo ng war sa isa't isa. We can confidently say na we were already a civilization kasi we're sophisticated na. May language tayo, may culture tayo, may tirahan tayo, may agriculture tayo, may mga batas tayo. So we were already a civilization. And we can also say the same for the Spanish. They were also a civilization. It's just that, tulad lang din yan ng settlements na sinabi ko kanina, if a civilization encounters another civilization, tatlo lang yung options. It's either, one, they trade. Two, they communicate. Comms, nag-usap-usap lang sila sa isa't isa or nag-share ng influence sa isa't isa. Or three, they colonize. Colonized. Dito napapasok yung term na colonization. So, di ba, nung na-encounter naman tayo ng mga Chinese, di naman nila tayo sinakop. Di ba? The Chinese, they were also a civilization when they encountered Mai. Yan, Mai, this is modern day Mindoro. Nung na-encounter nila yung Mindoro, nakipag-trade naman sila sa mga taga Mindoro. Nung na-encounter nila yung Tundon or Tondo, nakipag-trade sila sa mga taga Tondo. And they even shared their culture with us. Pero di naman nila tayo sinakop. The same can be said sa neighboring nation natin, which is yung Borneo at that time, the Brunei Empire. They traded with us and they shared their cultural influences with us. Kaya nga meron tayong Sanskrit, meron tayong baybayin. Complicated na ang mundo natin sa Pilipinas dati. But they never colonized us. That option was available to the Spanish. Nung pagpunta ng mga Spanyol sa atin, they colonized us. And because of that, kung titignan mo yung Spanish Empire, nandito yung Spain, ganito kalaki yung nasakop ng Espanya. So, hindi to masyadong natuturo sa school, pero aside from the Philippines, sinakop din ng Espanya ang Americas. I wanna introduce as well the French Empire, which is dito. Katabi lang ng France yung Spain. So, sinakop din ng French Empire yung maraming mga bansa. So, umabot sila ng Canada, parts of the modern-day United States, much of Africa, Madagascar, and marami din siyang nasakop here in Asia. 'Di ba? So, ang laki rin ng French Empire. Now, ano sa tingin niyo yung nangyari when the French Empire encountered the Spanish Empire? Historically speaking, when the French Empire and the Spanish Empire encountered each other, there were a lot of diplomacies. May mga bawal silang gawin, may mga pwede silang gawin. They traded with each other. They were already practicing globalization. Okay? And also, I want to introduce the British Empire. So as you can see, ang laki din ng British Empire, lalo na. The British Empire is actually the biggest empire in world history. So makita mo, nasakop niya yung much of Canada, Australia, Malaysia, India, parts of Africa, and of course, some parts in the Americas as well. Ang laki ng nasakop ng British Empire. So you would imagine na if the British Empire and the Spanish Empire and the French Empire encountered each other, of course, they shared military conflicts, nag-share din sila ng politics, they shared, in fact, share ko lang, no, sinakop din kaya ng Britain yung Maynila. At some point, inatake ng British Empire yung Maynila. Share ko lang. Pero anyway, ang sinasabi ko dito, the British Empire, the Spanish Empire, and the French Empire, sa sobrang laki nila, they are bound to meet each other. And when they did that, eventually, they declared war. At the same time, they traded with each other. So, ang tanong ko sa inyo is, kailan ba talaga nagsimula ang globalization? Nagsimula ba to dahil sa pananakop ng mga imperyong to? Or nagsimula to all the way from settlements communicating and trading with other settlements? The answer is, hindi natin alam exactly kailan nagsimula ang globalization, but we can confidently say na globalization started the moment that we humans started settling and started discovering other settlements, trading with them, and impacting them. So, one of the impacts, one of the ways kung paano mas kumalat ang globalization is through colonization. Bakit? Pag sinabi nating colonization, ibig sabihin, pananakop ng isang bansa sa ibang bansa, at imbis na pinatay nila lahat ng tao doon, they colonized it. So, pag sinabi nating colonized is basically, well, aside from trading with them, they forced them into slavery, stuff like that. So, in the case of the Spanish Empire, because they colonized much of the Americas, including the Philippines, aside from bringing in them the culture of Europe, they also brought forth religion, such as Christianity. Okay? Siyempre, tinuruan din naman nila yung mga sinakupan nila ng kanilang kultura. Ba? And of course, meron din tayong slavery. And because of slavery, gumanda ang industry. Hindi ko sinasabing tama ang ang slavery ah. In fact, it's one of humanity's cruel ideas, cruel nature to enslave someone, 'di ba? Pero ano ba yung purpose ng slavery? 'Di ba mas makakamura ka sa labor kung meron kang employee na hindi mo binabayaran? So ganyan yung nangyayari sa slavery. Forced labor, sometimes sexual exploitations, worst case scenario, tinotorture, nire-rape, stuff like that. Forced labor na ever since bata pa. So ito yung mga downsides ng colonization. However, we cannot deny na because of colonization, nag-improve kahit papano ang globalization. In what way? Well, first off, because of technology, diba? Because of technology. And at the same time, kumalat yung religion, although it's in a bad way, diba? Karamihan sa mga Pilipino, sinasabi nila, buti na lang dumating yung mga Espanyol dito sa Pilipinas, otherwise hindi tayo maliligtas sa salita ng Diyos. Wala naman ng problema doon. Ang sa akin lang, hindi ba ang tinuturo sa Bible is dapat love your neighbors, thou shall not kill? But yung ginawa kasi ng mga Espanyol is the complete opposite. They killed and they did not love their neighbors. They shared the word of God, they shared the gospel in a very, brutal way. Meron bang benefits ang colonization? It's debatable to say that. But we cannot deny na because of globalization, may mga bansang nabuo. Through better or for worse, may mga bansang nabuo. May mga technologies na nangyari. May industry na nabuo. However, masama pa rin ang ating history. Yan na lang ang lagi natin sabihin. Hindi maganda ang ating kasaysayan dahil ang ating kasaysayan ay punong-puno ng patayan. So, ngayon, alam nyo na kung kailan nagsimula ang globalization or at least paano nagsimula ang globalization. I think the better question to ask is, what event significantly impacted our globalization today? And the answer is very sophisticated once again. Because madaming anggulo pwede mong tignan to answer this question. You can say na because of colonization. You can also say na because of migration. Pag sabi nating migration, ibig sabihin, yung mga sinaunang tao from Africa, nag-migrate sila sa iba't ibang mga regions ng mundo. However, kung ako yung tatanungin mo, ano ba yung ano yung event na significantly nag-impact ng globalization natin today? I would say na it's because of three events. World War I, World War II, and the Cold War. Etong tatlong to, they are very connected. Because in order for you to understand the Cold War, you have to understand ano nangyari noong World War II. And in order for you to understand kung ano nangyari noong World War II, you must understand kung paano nagsimula ang World War II by understanding World War I. So, without further ado, we're going to discuss it right now. Let's start with World War I. Ano ba yung nangyari noong World War I? In fact, let's define ano ba ibig sabihin ng World War. Pag sinabi nating World War, this is a war so big and so devastating to the point na it will affect the future so much. So much. Kasi karamihan ng mga gera dati, prior to World War I, karamihan ng mga gera dati, it only affected the region. For example, kung naggera yung France at saka, let's say, naggera yung France at Italy, yung parte nila dati, it's just gonna be their war. Wala masyadong maapektuhan yung buong mundo. Pero pag sinabi nating World War, it's a war so big na hanggang ngayon, apektado lahat. And in fact, as I said, kung hindi nangyari yung World War I, hindi mangyayari yung World War II, and hindi mangyayari yung Cold War, which is maapektuhan yung mundo natin. So let's discuss, ano ba nangyari noong World War I? Dati, hindi naman alam ng mga tao na magkakaroon ng World War II. So ang tawag nila dyan is the Great War. It is also known as the War to End All Wars. However, after World War I, hindi naman nagtapos lahat ng gera eh. In fact, it got worse kasi magkakaroon pa ng World War II. However, the impact of this war changed world history. Why? So, ang reason is kaya nagkaroon ng World War I is because nagkakainitan na yung mga bansang to. In Germany, France, Italy, Austria-Hungary, Russia, Bulgaria, nagkakainitan na yung mga bansang yan. Naghahanap na lang sila ng isang reason para magsimula ng gera. And they found that reason when Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated by Gavrilo Princip on June 28, 1914 in Sarajevo. Pag-usapan natin yung main. M starts for military. So yung mga bansang yan, they believe na the stronger military that you have, you are more dangerous. Mas protective ka. And of course, alliance. Magkakampi yung France at Russia, magkakampi yung Austria-Hungary at saka Germany, magkakampi yung Belgium at saka Britain. They believe na the more alliance that you have, the better you are to survive. And of course, imperialism. Yung mga bansang yan, di ba, na-mention ko, they are Westerners. They are Europeans. So they are known colonizers. They believe na pag naggera sila, matira ang matibay dito, sila yung pinakamagiging malakas. So they were already having this perspective of imperialism. And furthermore, syempre, lolokohin nila yung mga citizens nila. Sabihin nila, di ba, mahal mo naman yung UK, ipaglaban mo. Mahal mo yung France, ipaglaban mo. And for sure, kung kasali dyan ng Pinas, which is sumali ang Pinas ng World War I, share ko lang, dahil under tayo ng colony of the United States, we were forced to fight in World War I. However, hindi siya masyadong tinuturo sa school, nakakalungkot lang. The very first Filipino who died overseas, by the way, is Tomas Claudio. Siya yung bayani ng Morong Rizal. I suggest pag-aralan mo siya. Lumaban ng mga Pilipino during World War I, hindi lang siya masyadong nadidiscuss. Anyway, because of main, military alliance, imperialism, and nationalism, nag-aantay na lang ang mga bansang to ng isang triggering point para maggera sila. And that was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Si Franz Ferdinand, okay, siya yung Archduke ng Austria-Hungary. Okay? Ito siya. So, yan. Pag sinabi natin Austria-Hungary, ang haba, di ba? That's because it's unified. Connected yung dalawang bansang yan. Austria and Hungary. So, it was unified dati, Austria-Hungary. So, siya yung Archduke dati. Now, ang sinisi ng Austria-Hungary kung sino pumatay kay Archduke Franz Ferdinand ay Serbia. Ito, Serbia. Sinisi nila yung Serbia. Kasi nga, yung pumatay is a Serbian nationalist. At saka connected kasi yung organization ni Gavrilo sa mga Serbian nationalist pa. So sabi ng Hungary, kasalanan to ng Serbia. So nag-declare ng war yung Austria-Hungary sa Serbia. It just so happens na when Austria-Hungary declared war with Serbia, Serbia happens to be an ally of Russia. And Germany happens to be an ally of Austria-Hungary. So magkagera na tong apat na to. And it just so happens na France is an ally of Russia. So now, by declaring war with Russia, France is also declaring war with Germany and Austria-Hungary na. So magkakakombine na tong mga kaguluhan na to. And Germany, para makapaggera sa France, Hindi sila makadaan dito, so dumaan sila sa Belgium. Belgium is a neutral nation. And because of that, nakijoin na rin yung Great Britain. Hanggat sa nagkaroon na ng World War. Bakit? 'Di ba, sinabi ko kanina, sabi mo, 'di ba, sir, sabi mo pag World War, usually buong mundo kasali diyan. Parang Europe lang nagkakagulo dito eh. 'Di ba naalala mo sabi ko, France colonized parts of Africa. So Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, yan, kasali na rin to sa gera. And yung Great Britain, 'di ba, under sa kanya yung sinabi ko kanina, Canada, Australia at saka India, kasama na rin sila sa World War One. So, ang gulo na ng World War One. Ang daming bansang sumali sa gera na yan. And because of that, it's one of humanity's most brutal wars in history. Madaming namatay. It's a war so big and so devastating. Well, yun yung masasabi ko. It's a war so big and so devastating, madaming namatay. And because of that, natuto yung mundo natin. Nagkaroon tayo ng League of Nations. League of Nations. So, in terms of globalization, because of the League of Nations, in the future, hulaan nyo kung anong magiging ang League of Nations, it will become the United Nations. Kung saan magkakaroon tayo ng mga batas tungkol sa dagat, territory, magkakaroon ng human rights and stuff like that. So, yan yung impact ng World War I. Nagkaroon ng League of Nations. Nagkaroon din ng human rights. We realize the value of human life na hindi dapat to tinatapon basta-basta. And of course, kung matibay na ang globalization dati, mas tumibay ang globalization after World War I because itong mga bansang to na nakaranas ng maraming pagkamatay, they now share a bond so much na mas matibay. Unfortunately, may isang bansa dyan na hindi makakaranas ng magandang globalization after World War I. And that is going to be Germany. Germany suffered the most during World War. Germany suffered the most after World War I. Bakit? Kasi yung Germany, sila talaga yung main leaders during World War I. Even though Austria-Hungary declared war, ang pinaka nag-lead ng offensive is yung Germany. So maraming bansa galit sa Germany. And because of that, in the Treaty of Versailles, when we say treaty, kasunduan, nung sumuko yung Germany and Austria-Hungary sa mga bansang nakatalo sa kanya, which is yung Russia, France, UK, nung sumuko sila sa mga bansang yun, in the Treaty of Versailles, Germany was forced into RTM. We have reparations, territory, and military. Reparation, ibig sabihin, syempre, alangan namang yung mga nanalo, yung magbabayad sa gera, yung mga damages ng gera, yung mga namatay, yung pag-repair sa Europe, yung pagbayad ng mga insurance tsaka tax. Ang alangan namang ang magbabayad nun, France tsaka UK, hindi naman sila yung natalo. Since Germany yung natalo, they would pay for war damages na sobrang mahal. Sobrang mahal ng binayaran nila. It's gonna go billions. And of course, yung territory ng Germany, mas lumiit because they were forced to give parts of their lands to their enemies na nanalo. And yung military nila is now reduced kasi sobrang lakas ng military ng Germany. Now, ang parusa sa kanila is hindi na sila pwedeng lumagpas ng 100,000 na sundalo. And bawal na rin silang magkaroon ng Air Force. These are harsh terms that weakened Germany economically and politically, leaving many Germans resentful and contributing to the conditions that eventually led to World War II. So because of this, imagine nyo, no? Ganito na lang, imagine nyo. Ano ba yung way para magbayad ang gobyerno ng malaking utang? Hindi naman na siya pwedeng mangutang pa ulit kasi baon na nga sa utang yung Germany. So, saan pwedeng kumuha ng pera ang Germany? Sa kanyang mga citizens, which are the Germans. So, tinax nila yung mga Germans ng sobrang bigat to the point na ang mahal na ng pandesal, ang mahal na ng tubig, ang mahal na lahat ng bills. Germany lost World War I and now they are reaping what they sowed. Yun yung nangyari. And because of that, kailangan ng Germany ng bagong pag-asa. Someone na pwede nilang tignan na magliligtas sa kanila from this economic problem. And dito napapasok si Adolf Hitler. This is someone na kailangan yung tandaan. This is general knowledge sa buong mundo. Adolf Hitler is one of the most brutal dictators in history. In fact, I would argue na siya yung top 1. Kasi it's debatable, pwede nyo sabihin si Stalin or si Mao Zedong, pero I would say na Hitler is top 1. Anyway, Hitler is a dictator. Ang pangako niya sa Germany is babaguhin niya yung Germany. Sabi niya, hindi nyo nababayaran yung utang nyo sa Europe, sa World War I, hindi na natin kailangan bayaran yan. Yung mga nawalang lupa sa Germany, we're going to reclaim it and we're going to expand further. And yung military natin, it will become stronger more than ever. Of course, no, as a German citizen na gutom, baon sa utang, problematic na yung bansa mo, when you first encountered this person on public, nagkaroon ka ng pag-asa. So maraming sumuporta kay Adolf Hitler. Pero paano nga ba nag-rise si Hitler to power? Madami siyang ginawa. Pinapatay niya yung mga kalaban niya, low-key, ba? Basically, he ruled gamit yung hatred ng German people, and it was very effective. But prior to that, I want to introduce as well 3 other dictators. We have Mussolini from Italy, and we have the Emperor of Japan, which is si Hirohito. So these are 3 other dictators as well. Tignan natin kung ano ba yung goals nila in World War II. Ang goal ni Hitler is pagandahin pa yung Germany. Palawakin pa yung Germany. And gusto niyang mas gumanda pa yung Germany in terms of economics. In fact, meron na siyang world idea na dapat mga Germans na lang yung matitira sa Europe. Yung Aryan race, yun yung iniisip niya. Si Mussolini, ang gusto niya, ibalik yung Italy into its formal glory. Ano ba yung formal empire ni Italy? It was formerly known as the Roman Empire. So kung hindi nyo alam yung Roman Empire, sila yung mga pumako kay Jesus Christ, di ba? Sila yung may Roman Colosseum, yung kung saan lumalaban yung mga gladiators. So ganun kalaki yung Roman Empire dati. And it started in Italy. So sabi ni Mussolini, gusto nilang lumakas ulit tulad nung dati. Ito naman si Hirohito, sa totoo lang, no, ang nagli-lead talaga ng Japan dati is siya yung emperor, pero yung military advisors niya, sila talaga yung isa sa mga nagli-lead. Pero either way, may kinalaman din naman to si Hirohito. Ang gusto naman ng Japan is makilala siya as the neighboring superpower of Asia. Yun naman ang gusto ng Japan. And at the same time, gusto rin nila ng economic growth. Oil, more money, of course. Gusto rin ng Japan makilala siya as a superpower. Because of that, itong tatlong to is nag-share ng common traits sa isa't isa. Sila yung naging magkakampi during World War II. Italy, Japan, and Germany. Pero madami pang other nations na kumampi sa kanila. Pero in the meantime, yan yung gusto kong i-share, yung tatlong yan. Let's go to Japan. Punta naman tayo sa Japan kasi tahimik to kanina pa di ba? Yung Germany nung time na yan, nagpapalakas pa. More on politics pa sila. Yung Japan naman, inatake nila yung China. So may controversy kung bakit nila inatake yung China. Pero ang gusto kong i-point out is inatake nila yung China. When they attacked China, it was one of the most brutal invasions in history. Because they were raping women left and right. They were murdering civilians left and right. In fact, nagkaroon pa nga ng competition na paramihan sila ng mapapatay gamit ang samurai sword. So, ganun kabrutal yung mga Chinese. Ganun kabrutal yung mga Japanese sa mga Chinese. And hindi talaga siya maganda sa image ng mundo. In terms of globalization, di ba, ito is nasabi ko rin, na pag ang isang bansa ay gumagawa ng mga bagay na immoral, other nations tend to not support that. So, sino ba yung sumusuporta sa Japan nung time na yan? They were actually having a trade with the US specifically for oil. Nagpapadala ng oil ang US sa Japan. Pero dahil hindi support ang United States of America sa pananakop ng Japan because it's immoral in their perspective, tinigilan ng US ang pagpapadala ng oil sa Japan. This is problematic. Bakit? Because Japan needs oil para maging successful yung pananakop nila sa China. Japan felt offended because of this. And they realized eventually, kung gusto ng Japan sakupin yung buong Asia, eventually they realized na kailangan nilang mabangga yung United States of America. So therefore, a war with the US is inevitable in their perspective. So hindi na sila nagpaligoy-ligoy pa. Sila na yung nag-first move sa chess. Ang ginawa ng Japan is inatake nila yung Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor is a harbor in Hawaii kung saan dito nakatambay yung mga navy ng Amerika. So bakit Pearl Harbor yung inatake ng Japan? Well, as I said, nandito yung mga barko ng mga Amerikano. So if you want to colonize or if you want to invade Asia and hindi ka mag-aalala sa mga Amerikano, it would make sense na atakin mo yung mga barko nila. Kasi pag inatake mo yung mga barko nila, hindi makakapagpadala ng reinforcements yung mga Amerikano sa Asia if ever man aatake ang Japan sa Asia. So when they attacked Pearl Harbor, more than 5,000 Marines and sailors ang namatay sa mga barko, including USS Arizona, yung mga barkong yun, madaming namatay sa ataking to. So hindi ko malilimutan yung speech dito ni Roosevelt. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately been attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. And then the following day, after that, nung inatake ng Japan yung Pearl Harbor, just the following day, inatake na rin ng Japan yung iba't ibang mga bansa in Asia. Ang Germany naman, on the other hand, inatake niya yung Poland. Kakampi niya yung Russia nung time na yon. And then, inatake din ng Germany yung France. Hanggat sa inatake na niya lahat ng lahat. At the highest peak of World War II, ganito nakalaki yung German Reich. The Third Reich, yan ang tawag sa Germany. Ganyan nakalaki. And then, yung Japanese Empire naman, ganito na rin kalaki. Wow. Diba? Tignan nyo. Gaano katagal yung World War II? It lasted for 6 years. World War I lasted for 4 years. World War II lasted for 6 years. Nung World War I, ang tawag lang natin doon, the Great War. Hindi pa natin yung tinatawag na World War I. Biglang nangyari tong event na to. So ngayon, may World War II na. So you can imagine gaano kalaki yung impact ng World War II into our contemporary world nowadays. Because of World War II, may mga bagong bansa na nabuo. It's a war so devastating, mas mabigat siya compared sa World War I, to the point na after World War II, yung mga colonies na sinabi ko kanina, di ba, sinakop ng UK yung India, sinakop ng UK yung Australia, sinakop ng UK yung mga other na bansa, stuff like that. Because of World War II, hindi na kayang i-sustain ng mga bansang yun, yung mga pananakop nila sa iba, to the point na they just gave their independence. That is also including the Philippines. After World War II, naging independent na tayo from Japan and the United States. But anyway, let's discuss more about World War II. Kasi itong mga pangyayaring to, it's going to directly impact our idea of the world today and also the Cold War. So for 6 years of World War II, sa ilalim ng mga Hapon sa Asia at sa ilalim ng mga Germans sa Europe, it was humanity's most darkest times. Because in Japan, we can share our problems with our neighboring nations kung paano tayo nagsuffer under Japan. Sabi nga, ang tinuturo nga sa inyo ng mga teachers nyo dati, ilang years tayo sinakop ng Spain? 'Di ba? 333 years tayo sinakop ng Spain. Sa 333 years na yan, mas brutal yung pinagdaanan natin under Japan na 3 years lang tayo sinakop. Kumalat yung rape, comfort women, yung mga infant pinapatay, yung mga lalaki tinotorture. Basically, kahit saang kalsada ka pumunta, may patay. Yan ang nangyari noong World War II sa Pilipinas. And the same can also be said in China, Malaysia, Indonesia, parts of the Solomon Islands. Basically, yan yung nangyari sa buong Asia during World War II under Japan. Whereas in Germany or in Europe rather, dito naman nangyari yung Holocaust. So when we say Holocaust, this is the wide extermination of Jews. The murder of Jews. So pag sinabi nating Jews, kung titignan ko, naalala niyo yung Bible, kung nagbabasa kayo ng Bible, ang mga Hudyo ay naniniwalang magkakaroon ng tagapagligtas. Pero hindi sila naniniwalang si Jesus yun. Nung dumating si Jesus, pinako nila si Jesus, di ba? Nagsumbong sila sa mga Roman officials. Sabi nila, hindi naman ito yung tagapagligtas eh, binabastos nila kami. So, with a mixture of Roman authorities and Jewish authorities, Jewish hierarchies, pinako si Jesus Christ. This is one of the reasons kung bakit galit ang mga Kristiyano sa mga Jews. Ano ba yung dominant religion sa Europe? Di ba? It's Christianity. So it's just one of the reasons kung bakit galit na galit ang mga Europeans sa mga Jews. That's just one of the reasons. Madami pang reasons. Because of that, Hitler used this idea na magkaroon ng batas na dapat hulihin yung mga Jews. And this is ano yung itsura ng mundo during World War II. As you can see, ang daming bansang involved during World War II. So this is what we call a concentration camp. Concentration camp. These concentration camps were spreaded in Europe. So pag sinabi natin concentration camp, dito nilalagay lahat ng prisoners of war, POW, prisoners of war. Pag sinabi natin prisoners of war, ibig sabihin, bilang sundalo, sumuko ka sa Germany or sumuko ka sa Japan, and then, imbis na pinatay ka, nilagay ka sa kulungan. Prisoners of war. In the concentration camps, naglagay din sila dyan ng mga homosexuals kasi ayaw nila sa mga homo. Naglagay din sila ng mga black people kasi ayaw rin nila sa mga black people. But ang pinaka-highlight natin is naglagay din sila ng mga Jews sa loob ng concentration camp. So ano ba ginagawa sa mga kampong yan? Madami. Forced labor. Forced labor. Sabi nitong trabaho. Kasi pag hindi ka nagtrabaho, anong gagawin sa'yo ng mga Germans? Obviously, they will kill you. Or worst case scenario, they will torture you. Human experiment. So when I say human experiment, what I mean here is medical experiments or weapon experiments. Ibig sabihin, ang ginawa ng mga German doctors sa mga hindi naman ginusto ng mga POWs, homosexuals, black or Jews, na pag-eksperimentuhan sila. So, let me give you an example. Alam niyo yung conjoined twins? Kambal na magkadikit, hinati yan ng mga Germans nang walang anesthesia. Yung mga kambal naman na magkahiwalay, tinahi nila. Or kaya intentionally nag-inject sila ng mga syphilis, HIV, ng mga ganun. Pinainom ng seawater sa pilitan. Madaming namatay sa human experiments. And marami rin namatay sa forced labor. Or, minsan, pinapatay lang sila out of nowhere. Or tinotorture. And of course, sexual exploitation. Di ba? Siyempre, uso rin dyan yung rape. Hindi mga tao yung tingin ng mga Germans sa mga taong nasa concentration camp. And because of that, millions upon millions of people died in the concentration camps of Europe. So imagine, this is Europe, di ba? Kalat yung mga concentration camps dyan. Kalat-kalat. Imagine if you were inside the concentration camp, hindi mo alam kung gaano ka katagal makakasurvive dyan. Hindi mo rin alam kung nananalo ba kayo sa gera or hindi. So for the past 6 years, it felt like 100 years na silang nakastuck sa concentration camp. Until eventually, natapos naman yung World War II, but at what cost? Ang daming namatay. How about yung Asia? Meron ba silang mga concentration camps? Meron din. May mga concentration camps din yung mga lugar na yan. Specifically, no, I want to mention Unit 731. So Unit 731 is a medical research facility in Manchuria. Same case scenario, ganyan din ginawa ng mga Japanese sa mga POWs, homosexuals, and sa mga Chinese. But not just the Chinese, other nations din na nahuli nila, pinag-eksperimentohan nila. Hindi naman kasi uso yung mga Jews sa Asia. So hindi masyadong uso yung Holocaust sa Asia. However, may mga pinauso naman yung mga Hapon. Comfort women. So when we say comfort women, basta babae, anumang age niyan, kahit nga infant, naging sexually exploited sila ng mga Japanese soldiers. Kumbaga, ginawa silang available pang libangan ng mga lalaki sa Japan. So, bakit ko ito tinuturo? Madami kasi mga Pilipino hindi aware na hanggang ngayon, this is a contemporary issue. Madaming mga Pinoy na hindi aware sa Holocaust. And because of that, ang daming ignorant na mga Pilipino na pag pumunta sila ng Europe, they tend to not understand kung ano nangyayari. So for example, this is an image of former former Vice President Leni Robredo and other lawmakers in this image. Nasa Berlin sila. Berlin. This is the capital of Germany. And dito, itong area na to, itong image na to, this is a memorial kung saan namatay yung mga Jews. And imagine mo, no, you are an attorney. And marami na namang doctorate degree si Leni with respects to her. Pero tingnan niyo yung ginawa niya sa issue na yan. Bakit kayo magpo-post ng ganyan sa lugar na yan? So when this image was brought about sa social media, of course, naka-receive ng backlash si Leni Robredo. And eventually, nag-apologize naman siya. Class, another thing na I want to teach sa inyo is dapat hindi kayo kakamping. Bago kayo magsalita, dapat hindi kayo kakamping. Dapat hindi kayo DDS. Dapat hindi kayo Marcos apologies or dapat hindi kayo kung anumang fandom. Dapat kayo ay pro-Filipino. Dapat kung ano yung ikabubuti ng bansa, dun kayo kumampi. This is another contemporary issue na I want to share. Karamihan sa ating mga Pilipino, tinatrato natin ng mga politiko as our saviors, as our idols. So ano mangyayari pag nagkamali sila? Are we not gonna call them out? Diba? Halimbawa, nagkamali si Duterte on live television. Sinabi niya na pagpapatayin niyo yung mga yan. Dahil DDS ka, sasabihin mo, oh, it's just a joke. No, you have to call them out. That's unpresidential, di ba? That's unbecoming of a president. Papangit image ng Pilipinas niyan. In the case of Leni Robredo, kahit sabihin nating wala siyang corruption history, kilala siya sa kanyang transparency, tingnan mo yung nagawa niyang mali sa issue na to. Are we not gonna call her out? Just because maganda yung ano niya? Of course, we're gonna call her out. That is what it means to become pro-Filipino. Pag pro-Filipino ka, kung maganda para sa bansa mo, support it. Kung hindi maganda para sa bansa mo, criticize it and provide a better alternative. So in this case, kaya ako tinuturo din sa inyo yung Holocaust is para maging aware kayo. Another case happened with Angelica Panginiban. Ganito yung ginawa niya sa same na lugar kung saan nagpa-picture si former Vice President Leni Robredo. And obviously, she also received the same backlash. Naka-OTD siya, and pinakita niya yung image na yan. Diba? Tabi, dadaan ng madam, it's very insensitive. Now, comfort women. Balik tayo sa usapang comfort women. Until now, this is still an issue. Kasi hanggang ngayon, marami pa ring traumas na nangyari. Marami pang mga survivors ng World War II. And they are sharing kung ano yung naranasan nila during World War II. Napanood nyo na ba yung bagong palabas ng GMA, yung Pulang Araw? Diba, doon hinighlight yung mga comfort women the most. I want to talk about Bella Porch's issue. Meron kasi siyang tatong ganito. Now, if you would remember, diba, ganito yung itsura ng flag ng Japanese Navy. Yung pinakita ko kanina. Because of that, nagkaroon ng issue si Bella Porch nung sumisikat pa lang siya sa TikTok. Makikita mo sa comment section na ine-educate siya ng mga Chinese at saka ng mga Korean na mali yun. Na insensitive yung tattoo niya. And to be fair, nag-sorry naman si Bella Porch. Pero nakakalungkot yung mga replies ng mga Pilipino. Sinasabi nila sa mga Japanese, sa mga Korean, tsaka sa mga Chinese, tsaka sa mga Indonesians, Malaysians, Singaporeans na past is past, history na yan, dapat hindi na balikan. Kami rin naman, sinakop kami ng Japan, di naman kami naging maarte, ganto ganyan. This is another contemporary issue na I want to bring up. Hanggang ngayon, ang mga Pilipino, hindi natin alam yung kasaysayan natin. At kahit alam natin yung kasaysayan natin, we don't appreciate it enough for us to learn from it. Ang daming nangyari during World War II. Bataan Death March, kung saan 70,000 prisoners of war, both Americans and Filipinos, were forced to march 100 miles or kilometers ata yun in Bataan. Ang daming namatay dun. Women were raped left and right. Infants and toddlers were bayoneted. Ibig sabihin, sinaksak ng kutsilyo na nakadikit sa rifle. Madaming namatay during World War II. It's not a history na very good. It's a dark history. Tapos, iba-brush off lang natin by saying past is past. Kami rin naman, naranasan yan. Hindi naman kami nagreklamo. It shows that the Philippines is uneducated in front of other nations. So when Bella Porch had this issue, dinefend siya ng mga Filipinos na past is past, history na yun. So this is another contemporary issue ng mga ng mga Pinoy. We don't know how to appreciate history. Or we don't know how to learn from it. In fact, mayroong comfort women statue. This is a memorial statue na makikita mo sa Maynila. This statue was removed. And sa kasalukuyan, nasa Antipolo to ngayon. Kung saan yung artist niya, yung gumawa ng statue na yan, nandoon. Bakit ni-remove to? This is a statue of comfort women, di ba? It's to signify and to remind us kung ano yung pinagdaanan ng mga babae during World War II. Tapos ni-remove yung statue na yan. Bakit? Para daw tumibay yung relationship ng Japan at saka ng Philippines? Para mas tumibay yung relationship, yung partnership ng Japan with the Philippines? So, in the terms of globalization, Oo, pwedeng tumibay, pero is it a moral or an ethical decision on the government's part? How come yung Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Korea, and China, meron naman silang mga memorials for comfort women, hindi naman nila ni-remove yun, pero how come their relationship with Japan is economically good naman? Bakit tayo mga Pilipino, ginawa natin yun? Di ba? Anyway, after World War II, sumuko naman yung Japan. Sumuko yung Japan eventually. Kasi yung Germany, sumuko sila, and yung Japan, yun na lang yung natitirang bansa na di pa sumusuko. Nag-drop ng dalawang nuclear bomb. Atomic bomb rather. Sa Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it vaporized or it killed more than 400,000 na Japanese citizens. It was very cruel. It's one of humanity's most darkest decisions in history. Pero tignan natin bakit ba nila drinop yung nuclear bomb. Hindi kasi sumusuko yung mga Hapon. 'Di ba? Hindi ko sinasabing tama, pero hindi kasi sumusuko yung mga Hapon. Hindi siya tama, but it was necessary. But is it justified? I would still say no. Pwede namang i-drop sa ibang lugar to show power na kaya nilang i-end yung Japan, pero hindi. Drinop siya into a into a very populated na city. In fact, originally, dapat i-drop siya sa Kyoto. Pero hindi siya tinuloy. Anyway, ano yung significance ng atomic bomb sa contemporary world? Because of the atomic bomb, meron na ngayong power ang mga tao na tapusin or i-wipe out ang isang bansa. And because of that, hindi na ganong kadali mag-declare ng gera. For example, dati, Russia, kung gusto niya, kung gugustuhin niya lang naman mag-declare ng gera sa United States, pwede. Maggigera sila, maglalaban sila at one place. Pero pag ginawa na ngayon ng Russia yon sa US, aba, magdadalawang isip ka na ngayon. Meron silang weapons na pwede kang tapusin ng mabilisan. Yan yung significance ng atomic bomb. And in the future, lalo na pag diniscuss ko na yung Cold War, other nations will develop their own nuclear weapons. And ironically, because of nuclear weapons, nagkaroon ng world peace. Bakit? Because no other nations would like to mess with other nations na. So dati, normal lang yung mga gera, pero dahil nauso yung mga bombang yan, parang naging out of style na yung pagde-declare ng gera because they know na meron silang nuclear bomb and they can end us. At the same time, meron tayong nuclear bomb and we can end them. So wag na lang tayo maggera para quits. After World War II, of course, nanalo yung United States of America, nanalo yung UK and yung France and yung Russia, and meron din tayong mga talo. Natalo yung Germany and natalo yung Japan. So mag-focus muna tayo sa itsura ng Germany. When Germany was defeated, at its peak, ito yung itsura ng Third Reich, ganito siya kalaki. And now, ganito na itsura ng Europe. Kung titignan niyo yung Germany, nasakop niya yung mga Slavic nations like Ukraine, Poland, yan, Hungary, Romania, nasakop niya yung mga bansang yan. Na-push niya yung Soviet Union hanggang dito. And of course, syempre, paano ba lalaban yung Soviet Union? Eh di, pabalik lang din. Pinush lang din ng Soviet Union, pabalik yung Germany. And eventually, after World War II, ganito nakalaki yung Soviet Union. Ngayon, ito na yung magkalaban. The West versus the East. Ito na yung sinasabi nating Cold War. And I will discuss more about the Cold War. Because of the Cold War, ang dami nangyari na hanggang ngayon, apektado yung mundo natin. Because of the Cold War, nahati yung North Korea at South Korea. Because of the Cold War, yung Pilipinas ay nagkaroon ng martial law. Pag-uusapan ko yun, yung communism, in the next videos. Because of the Cold War, nagkaroon na ngayon ng perspective na hiwalay ang West at saka yung East. Na hanggang ngayon, yung Russia, China at North Korea ay magkakampi. Because of the Cold War, nagkaroon tayo ng idea about democracy and capitalism na mas maganda yung Pepsi at saka yung McDonald's and stuff like that. So sobrang ganda talaga pag-aralan to. World War I significantly led to the events of World War II, and World War II significantly will lead to the events of Cold War. And the Cold War will lead to the contemporary world, which we are going to discuss in the next video. So if you have other questions, feel free to comment down. Bye for now.